What's good, people? It's Monk here. Today we're going to look at soft synths. I'm going to run through like my top 5 favorite synths to use in the box. By soft synth, I just mean like it's a software synth rather than a hardware synth. So no like analog stuff out today. It's all like plugins that emulate synthesizers, essentially, or just digital synthesizers straight up. So the first one, so I've got 5 on my list here, and then like an honourable mention as well. So stay tuned for that. The first one, surprisingly, is a stock instrument, and it is retro synth. If you've got Logic, you'll find it here, like it just comes with the program. Retro synth, I use all the time. It's basically subtractive synthesis, and it's a like emulation of analog synths and how they work. You've got a few different modes up here, so you can use it for FM synthesis as well. It's also got wavetable. I'm not sure what the sync one is, and analog. I usually just have it on the analog setting, and it's just good for like beefy basses. Like if you're into like the sound of Moogs and hardware synths like that, this does actually a really good job of emulating that, even though it's just a stock instrument, and I use it more than like others. Like I've had to go with Monarch and stuff, and I still come back to this. The only thing I just mentioned to be wary of in the settings, it always as a default has a unison and a stereo spread and detune all on. So if you're just on the factory default setting and you want it to be like mono, or you want like punchy sub bass or anything like that, make sure you turn unison off and bring the stereo spread down, and you don't want any detuning either. You can sort of detune stuff here anyway. Yeah, it's got like a filter here, flanger effects built in, LFO down here with different shapes. You can turn on glide. You want those big sweeping like 808 sounds. And to give you an example of the stuff it sounds like, we'll go through a few of the presets. You can just hear sort of what it's capable of. Obviously it's using FM there, like just the presets where you switch between the different modes. So this one's called Airbase Synth. Yeah, they're just some of the bass sounds. Let's go for some more experimental stuff. Yeah, so they're just some examples of what this can sound like. I recommend, if you've got Logic, like definitely go and check it out if you haven't used it as yet. It's good for its simplicity, I suppose. Like it's nothing too complex about it, but it's just like when I want straight out the box like analog bass sounds, or also for my subs, like here there's the sine level control. I come back to this, especially when I'm making like straight like dub reggae stuff. I love using just the sine level on this as my sub, and then bringing the filter across here to cut out any unwanted high frequencies. Okay, then the next on my list is actually another stock one, and then this is the last of the stock ones, and then I'll be going on to some third-party stuff, which people tend to find a bit more exciting. But Alchemy, I couldn't like not mention it, because this synth is sick, and to be honest, like this is what I was using when I first started producing for ages. This whole like system of how all the presets are like laid out here was incredibly useful before I knew anything about sound design. I was able to get like loads of cool sounds out of it. So on the box is just how I was using it for like a good year or two into producing before like I started to learn about synthesis. But if you click up here, there's browse, simple, and advanced, and you go to advanced, that's when you actually get like the synth insights that you're sort of used to seeing in a synth, where you've got your ADSR envelope here, different sound sources. Yeah, you've got a filter here. And the sort of this preset thing at the bottom here works as sort of like a what would you call it? Like an XY pad kind of thing. Like it's changing the settings in different ways. You can kind of go halfway between two presets. and get some really cool sounds that way. You can also sort of automate this, which is pretty cool, like if you want your sound to move in a certain way. But if I go and initialize the preset, which is file, initialize preset, so we just got a saw wave loaded up here. Now, what's cool about these sound sources is that they're not just, I'm going to get splice up quickly, because they're not just like a standard, just, you know, waveforms. You can, if I just drag a random sample onto that, you can now see I get options: additive, spectral, sampler, or granular. So there are like loads of different options with this synth. It is capable of lots of different types. Now I've dragged a sample on there and selected granular, and then we're at the moment we're in this global tab, so we're looking at all of the different oscillators, or they're not necessarily oscillators, but you know, sound sources. So we've put the sample in A. So if I now click on A on the side tab, we then get the insights into that specific sound source, and you can do all of granular synthesis stuff in here, like grain size, tap spacing. Just see what that sounds like, what we've got. It's literally a random sample, so I have no idea what it'll be like. And yeah, not too exciting because it's just a percussive sample, I think. But then down the bottom here, you have like this ARP that you can use. And then you have lots of effects that are sort of like within the synth. Click on the arrow, you've got loads of, like essentially plugins within the synth to do effects with. But it's really sick and really powerful. And again, if you have Logic, you already have this. So like, I do recommend using it. It's really easy to get sort of swept up in third-party plugins, and you know, they seem all exciting, but so much of this stuff you can already do when you have like the DAW itself. At least check it out, like, because honestly, I use it all the time still. Right, so next one on the list, this is going to be the first third-party plugin that we're looking at in this list, and it is by Sonic Academy. It's called Anna. Or Anna 2, this one is. I got this one as part of the Slate Digital All Access parts. Loads of cool stuff included in that. I think it's like $14.99 a month. So for us in the UK, that's like cheaper than that. It's like just over a tenner, I think, that I'm spending a month. And it gives me access to all the Slate Digital plugins, all of the Kilohertz effects plugins, and then you get this synth with it as well. You also get some like guitar effect stuff with it as well, which is quite cool. But yeah, this synth is wicked and super powerful. The thing that impressed me about it was there's just so many oscillators and sound sources. So like over here in the top left, you've got wavetable synthesis, and you have three, like there's numbers here, and you have three wavetable oscillators, all of which have then like a sub level you can bring in. There's like an FM dial. Like, you can do so much with that already. Then over here, like in the right corner, you've got another three oscillators, and these are sample based oscillators, so you can do like basically play through samples. I'm not sure if it does granular, but it's like sample based synthesis essentially, and you can do lots of like editing of that and layer samples with your sound waves from the wavetable. You then got like filters here, filter envelopes. You've got this envelope generator here, which you can use to modulate stuff. You've got three different envelopes you can use. You also have LFOs under it. You've got three different LFOs you can set up and have going at once. Then there's some macros like for just quick assigning and EQ. Then this bit in the middle, these things turn stuff on and off, but you've got like all these effects down the bottom. I turn all of them on. Chorus phaser, tube drive, plate, phaser, two phasers there, ping pong, plate. But you can change what they are, like when you're in them, like you've got all the sort of inbuilt effects. At the top, you've got more this ARP thing. The ARP thing is really cool, actually. And you also have chord trigger, so you can actually set it to like certain notes to trigger complete chords. You can use the chord and the ARP feature in sync with each other, which is quite cool. I think there must be a video somewhere on how to do that. I think I watched it on Slate Digital's All Access Pass, but there's probably one you can get without having the pass. Yeah, really wicked. So we'll just try a few of the presets out and show you a bit of what this synth sounds like. Oh yeah, and then the preset menu, similar to Alchemy, it has this whole thing where it has category, genre, subcategory. Really good for like quickly finding the sounds that you're after. So maybe we'll look at some basses. So you can hear that one is used in the ARP. If I go into that and look at it, yeah, you've got a pattern. But yeah, there's so much stuff possible with this. It's really quite an impressive synth. Like, and I didn't even know what it was before I got it. Like when it came with the pass, I was like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. You know, there's a lot of synths out there, and you never know which ones are actually going to be that good. But this one is sick. Like, I really enjoy using this, and again, it's really good for emulating analog stuff, but digital as well. Like, there's loads you can do with it. I've got some wubs in here. Let's try that. So you can hear, you can get some really like modern sound design bits in it as well. Like, great for everything really. Great all rounder. Okay, and then next up on the list is probably the most popular synth on the list. It's the one that everyone knows about, but I'm still going to go into it because it is great. There's a reason it's so popular, and that is Serum. I have this quite nice skin on it at the moment. Serum is primarily a wavetable synth. That's what it is known for. It's capable of loads. It's very famous. I don't really know if there's much point in saying a lot about this because, like, if you don't know what Serum is, then I don't know where you've been living, really. But two oscillators for wavetables. There's loads of different like wavetables included that can get really complex. You then can scroll through the wavetable position. When you click on them, like, you can change it so you can scroll through it like that. You can go and actually look in the waveform like that. You have a sub oscillator up here, a noise oscillator. You got this filter, all different filter types in here. ADSR, you got 3 different ADSR envelopes that you can use to modulate stuff with, and then you also have 4 LFOs over here that you can modulate things with. Really powerful synth. The effects, you've got this sort of like effect rack thing within it, and you can move the effects about like that. Like, it confused me for a while because you have them in here, and I wish I could sort of just click them and drag them in this bit when I want to rearrange the order of them, but you have to use the sidebar here to rearrange the order basically, and if you want to turn one off you can get rid of it like that. And then it has a matrix, which is a bit more complicated to go in today, but it basically means you can assign anything to anything for like really complex modulation purposes. Some sort of setting things in the global tab there. We'll go through a few presets because you could hear like the stuff that comes with it, I suppose, but you're probably familiar. But let's just give it a go anyway. So this synth is hugely popular for bass noises in EDM, really, like mainly, but big mid basses and things like that is sort of what it's famous for, but it can be used for anything. We'll just look at some of the pads and stuff like that. All these different textures that are possible. But yeah, I don't really feel the need to say much more about that since it's so popular. There's such an abundance of information on the internet about this one, like so many YouTube tutorials. Like if you want to know how to use this better or you're more interested, just type Serum into YouTube because there are so many people covering this. Okay, and then the last one of the official list really that I wanted to look at is by Matt Title, if that's how you say it, and it's Vital. So this kind of blew up at the end of last year, like everyone knows about it at this point. I say everyone, you might not. It's still pretty new, but like it became pretty popular pretty quickly. And the reason is it's basically a very powerful wavetable synth that is very similar to Serum or Massive. Like it does everything that those synths do, but the bit that makes it stand out is it is completely free. So unlike Serum or Massive, you can go and download this for no cost, and it does everything that you'd need it to. My only thing that I don't like the layout quite as much as I do with Serum. I still use Serum more than I use this, but I had Serum before this came out, so I think if I found this first, probably wouldn't have bought Serum. But again, wavetables, you got 4 oscillators. You got 3 oscillators, sorry, you can tell I don't use it as much. Yeah, and you got all these presets like wavetables that you can load straight in there. Filters, I do actually quite like this, how you can turn, like, the things are sort of dampened and then you turn them on and they appear, and you got these filters. So this is all the voice section. You got LFO there, envelopes, 4 LFOs and 3 envelopes. Effects, all these effects you can turn on. Then you got a matrix like you do with Serum when you're sort of assigning stuff like for complex sound design things, and an advanced tab which I haven't delved into too much. I must admit I don't know as much about this synth, but I feel like it was worth being on the list just because it is free, and like I said, if I found this before I found Serum, then I would have never needed Serum. Same with Massive, they all kind of are very similar synths for achieving similar results, but if you're strapped for cash and you want something that'll do the job without breaking the bank, Vital is the answer. We'll just listen to a few of the presets to give you an idea of what it's capable of. There, one's in here by Mr. Bill. Mr. Bill's, if you don't know him, he's like a guy, I think he's from Australia originally, but he lives in America now, and he does a lot of tutorials online that are really cool, like for complex sound design. He's very into Ableton and stuff, so if you use Ableton, I recommend go checking out Mr. Bill, or if you're just interested in mad sound design stuff, yeah, he knows his stuff. So let's try some of the presets that he made actually. Float chords is one. That one's quite interesting. You can see the waveform here, that's modulating that. And I suppose they're my top 5 synths for sound design purposes. And then there's just one honourable sort of mention that I wanted to bring up, and that is Future Audio Workshop's Sublab. I use a lot of 808s in the music that I do, so if that's something that you do as well, Sublab is specifically for 808s, it is engineered purely for that purpose. Got your attack decay, and you can do that on volume, filter and pitch. You've got some distortion and compression in there, and you've got a filter. This master thing is pretty handy because it shows you in graph form the sounds as they happen. So you got the synth section, the sampler section, and then just this subsection. It's really powerful for getting like big punchy 808s. It's not really good for anything else. So it's like if you want something purely for 808s and you use 808s a lot, then this is definitely worth the money. I don't think it's too expensive. I think I got it for like 30-40 quid when I got it. And loads of presets like straight out of the tin you can go through for just different like types of 808. We'll listen to a few of them, see what you think. I feel like they're going to be really loud, so I'm just going to bring this gain in a bit. But yeah, you get the idea with that. It's a pretty simple thing, but if you, like I say, if you're using 808s a lot, then it's incredibly useful, and I use it all of the time. So I thought I'd just sort of mention that on the end there, because it's not really like the most versatile synth, but it's just great for the purpose that it was designed for. But yeah, that's my list of soft synths that I use a lot.